We are about to get underway in the women's sprint enduro final. Here we go. A clean and straight start. It doesn't always happen like that off a beach start, but everyone seemed to do all right. A couple of extra dives there from Emma Jeffcoat, and to the right of screen in the red is Kirsten Casper, and she has had a fantastic start.
Kirsten Casper there. I was expecting Taylor to go out well on that far left-hand side, and also Katie Zafiras on the far right, but Kirsten really got away to an absolute flyer there. There was one or two didn't seem to enter the water quite as smoothly. I think Jodie would have been a bit disappointed with her sort of run in there. She seemed to stumble a little bit and get a little bit behind very early on, which she wouldn't have wanted. But yeah, Kirsten's straight out there to the front.
Kirsten Casper won one of our heats, so don't forget she has the short chute that she can use on the first or second run. It's a little wrinkle we've added to Super League Triathlon by virtue of a heat win, and Taylor Spivey had a heat win too in the other heat. They get a tiny little shortcut they can use at either time on the run. Of course, they do it through twice, swim, bike, run, and I'd be keeping it in the back pocket. I'd be keeping it for the last run, but we'll see what happens.
I completely agree. If the conditions allow, then having that on the final lap, right at the end, have that little 5 to 10 second advantage at the death is just absolutely invaluable. But the tactics that will play out will be very much dependent on the way the race unfolds itself. If there is a gap that's gone a bit early on, if Katie's going to try and go solo, which we've seen her do in several of the other stages, you might want to be using that short chute a little bit earlier on just to bridge yourself back on. And Kirsten's done that in a couple of races, actually managed to get back up to Katie when Katie's already gone away. So it's a useful little tool to have up your sleeve. She might want to use it early on if the race unfolds in that way. But being able to save it to the end would be absolutely brilliant for her, and would make a hell of a finish.
Great shots there from our boat as Kirsten Casper takes control of this swim, and you can tell it's a quick swim by virtue of the fact that they are just about all in a straight line and jumping on the feet of each other, and they come up onto the beach near where that land swim buoy is. Yeah,
Jeffcoat just in second, I think, and then Taylor Spivey in third with Katie Zafiras in fourth. So all fantastic swimmers. Kirsten actually has some incredible swims, a little bit more probably erratic than she'd like to be in the swim, but she is leading this one out. And as you said, Will, she's dominating this swim a little bit. She's really strung them out. A little bit of a stumble there from Emma coming out the water, and a little gap back to Taylor and Katie. That's definitely something we wouldn't have expected to see, but Kirsten's really done a very, very good job on this.
So Kirsten Casper into the water, and you can see the different line taken by Emma Jeffcoat and everyone coming in behind her, because a little bit to the left, as we're looking at it now, is the faster route to the buoy, but obviously a little bit further in terms of the run required on the beach. So two different lines taken. Kirsten Casper with clear water all around her, and everyone else on the feet of Emma Jeffcoat following her in and hoping that's the train to the front of this swim, at least to bridge that gap to Casper, who is taking control at the front of this race, and I like to see that from her. She's been aggressive and bold early on, and that's something that I always enjoy watching, and we all do enjoy watching, is pushing the pace at the front and not worrying for that tactical worry. As Chris McCormack, two-time Hawaii Ironman world champion, tears himself away from the VIP area and joins us in commentary. Macca, welcome.
I was actually sitting with Kirsten Casper's coach, Jonathan Hall, there. He held me up, and I was asking, with her winning the short chute this morning in the heats, what she was going to employ, whether she'd take that early in the first run or whether she would set the race up. He said she was very primed for a big swim. She's doing that right now, and she's going to follow what Taylor Spivey does. She thinks together that they can both use that short chute and potentially alienate Katie Zafiras for that second swim, but we'll be very interested to see how she takes that.
Seeing them both taking different lines again here. It's really interesting how some people have tried to go for where it gets shallowest quickest, so that they can start dolphin diving, get themselves out and running quicker, given that we know running is quicker than swimming. We saw that when they re-entered the water halfway through that swim. Some of them chose to run down the beach a bit further just because it meant they could actually run more than they swam, and it meant they could dolphin dive for further.
Well, that's what Jeffcoat's doing there on the right of screen. She's taken that straight line off the buoy. It is a much longer run. We'll see if that pays off for her.
Well, that's the biggest gap, I think, in terms of different techniques that we've seen there between Casper and Jeffcoat. And Jeffcoat, a very accomplished open water swimmer, she will have decided on that, and she ends up coming out just with Taylor Spivey, who is our swim split leader from Malta, and behind them Katie Zafiras, who is our championship leader. Kirsten Casper is currently second in the championship, and if she's going to have any chance of chasing down Katie Zafiris for that $100,000 prize in Singapore. She needs a big win here. There is no doubt about that.
That's a big gap she's got
really
there.
is.
We've not seen anything like that, I don't think, in any round so far where someone's got that big a gap out the water. And actually, I think that showed that the route that Jeffcoat took at the end there wasn't quicker, because she ended up coming in with Taylor, whereas she was in front of Taylor going back in at halfway round the swim. So I think that shows that the route that Kirsten and the others took was a better one.
We saw yesterday with the triple mix and earlier this morning in the heats that being out in front like this has a big advantage. You're able to ride through this first lap, take your time up this first climb, and get through that Winston Church Hill. Is that what we call it, Will?
No, it's split opinion calling it, because there's a church at the top of the hill, and it's Church Hill, and then it became Winston Church Hill. What do you think?
I think he's incredibly witty. Well done.
Thank you so much. It's definitely split opinion amongst the team here at Super League, but we're going to run with it for that. Feel free to get in touch with us if you don't like it, but we're doing our best to mix it up here in Super League Triathlon, and Kirsten Casper is doing that as well. She powers up the hill on her own ahead of Emma Jeffcoat.
You see Charlotte McShane on the left of the screen with Jodie Stimpson, desperate to get across, using the climb to close that gap, and she has. She had a bit of tardy transition, and all the women are back together again.
Yeah, they're just about making it on over the top here, and that's really important. This is such a brutal format, 2 rounds through of swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run. You don't want to be alienated by the time you've come out the swim on the first round through. It's a really long day if you're chasing from there and you're trying to minimise gap deficits from there. Kirsten here just ridden herself off the front, really. She's looking really quite confident and comfortable. I wouldn't be surprised if we see those other girls close in on her, but really dominant racing so far, and just really good to see someone racing with such confidence and just willing to have a go.
And look who's drifted to the back of the pack again, Summer Cook, who was, fourth out of the water. She really struggles on that descent. I spoke to her after this morning's heats, and she struggles on this next climb, this top left-hander. She said she doesn't turn left. We talked about in the heats, she doesn't turn left well. She's more comfortable on the right-hand turns.
Yeah, she's a Zoolander in that way.
She's a Zoolander. She agreed. She struggles. If you watch her here, she lets the gaps open, and it's been a real problem for her. See that?
Yeah, that was not the best turn from Summer there. I also spoke to her, and I think she was almost in two minds as to whether it was a good thing or a bad thing that she qualified for the final. Yeah. I think she's tired. She was very upfront about the fact that it's been a long weekend. It's been a lot of racing. She's tired. She thought, brilliant, I'm in the top 10. That means I'm in the final. But at the same time, gosh, that means I've got to go again in just a few hours. And she was doing everything she could, putting her feet up, lying down in the recovery area for several hours, just trying to get herself ready to go again.
Yeah, there's no doubt the eliminated athletes are availing themselves of the VIP area here, having enjoyed a very long season, and they're enjoying the racing very much as well, watching their compatriots, their rivals, take on the top 10 shootout, the final of this women's sprint enduro. And at the moment, as it was before, it's 9 seconds now from Casper to Spivey and Zafiris. The three of them started, well, they were the quickest in the heats, but Casper's put 9 seconds into the field, and she's doing She's having a very brave race at the beginning of this one. It's a very, very long one, though. We're only in the second of 6 legs.
I don't think Katie Zafiris can really afford to let Kirsten go completely on her own, just because she's got that short shoot. And actually that gap there is probably halved up that climb. Yeah. And I'm not surprised to see that. Katie will know that, yes, there's a long race, there's a lot of racing to go still in this one, but she can't afford to let that go.
And Summer Cook is off the back. She's lost that group completely, and I think that was really the work driven by Katie Zafiris to close that gap. They put a lot of the women under pressure, and
it's streaking those girls out. Really, that whole pack is completely splintered as they went up that hill there, and then down as they come round up to go up to Winston Churchill.
Yes, welcome on board the Winston Churchill train. Here they go up Churchill, and Kirsten Casper has a look at one of the screens to the side of the course just to see where she's up to, and that gap has closed up. And Katie Zafiris, well, she'd agree with you. From there at the top of the hill, the church you can see in the back of shot right there. That's why we're calling it Church Hill, and that's where it all came from. And there it is, in a beautiful old church. It is here in Puerto Cristo on the southwest coast of Mallorca, a beautiful Spanish island, and we've enjoyed our time here immensely, staying at the Rafael Nadal Academy. The athletes have had a fantastic time using the facilities and meeting Rafael Nadal as well on Thursday. And Kirsten Casper leads from Zafiris, who had a little wobble there, maybe just went a little tiny bit wide and found herself in the gutter, but manages to pull it back, and it's still an American 1-2-3. No, it's not, sorry. That's Charlotte McShane. Charlotte McShane is in there between Zafiris and Spivey.
See Jodie there in about 5th place, just seems to be a little bit uncomfortable. You can see the exertion written all over her face. Her and Joanna Brown, both of whom had to work quite hard this morning. Jodie had a slightly easier route through. Joanna really had to run hard to get that 4th place in her heat. So she's definitely told me she was tired after this morning's heat.
Rachel Clammer, for the first time, moving up a lot closer to the front. She was sitting a bit further back. She looked to be struggling earlier. I thought it was quite a surprise. I thought she'd really, come into her own on this climb. She's moved up at the right time. I think it's one of those courses. I think Kirsten Casper has been able to get through this course quite comfortably out in front. It's one of those courses where leading isn't really a disadvantage. You get to...
She's been controlling the race.
Yeah, she really has.
It allows you to, I guess, on the bike, use the entire width of the road, and we've got 3 dead turns and some 90-degree turns, which there's a real benefit to holding as much momentum through those turns as you can as we turn into the bottom of Church Hill especially. And you'll see that right here as they take the left-hand turn. She can take as wide a line as she wants to. She can hit that apex as much as she needs to, and there's no one next to her. Although, because they're all strung out now in a group of 10, everyone can take the same line. But that doesn't always happen like that.
It just, as soon as someone breaks in the group, especially if they're near the front of the group, it means the person behind has to break a little bit more, the person behind has to break a little bit more, and it just means that if you are in that 8th, 9th position, as we're seeing some of the girls like Emma Jeffcoat right there near the back of the group, Yuko Takahashi, they're having to surge harder every time to then catch back up to that, to concertina that group back together again. That takes its toll. They have to do that 12 times, 12 hills, well, more than 12 corners. So there's all these corners that they've got to every time build themselves back into the group, and that takes its toll on your legs. You've then got to run, and then you've got to get back in and do the whole thing again.
That's what Super League Triathlon is all about.
That's what it's all about. That's why I'm sat here talking about it, and I'm not out there racing it.
Well, these dead turns, as you said, they kill that momentum. You can't roll off, especially the further back in that pack you go, and especially on that right-hander up to that big Church Hill. You kill that momentum. Yeah.
Summer Cook is gone.
That gap's gone out hugely now on that lap, and that will be really disappointing for Summer.
She's really fatigued. She's in danger of falling into that 90-second elimination
I'd say
point.
she's in extreme danger of that. She was 28 seconds gone through the 2nd bike lap, and I think she's losing time hand over fist at the moment. We'll have to wait and see at the next set of splits, but it's going to be a lonely old time for Summer Cook as she battles the 90-second elimination.
She's sitting 3rd in the series so far, which is a big kudos to the girls up front, to the women up front pushing the pace, because I know Rachel Clammer is eyeing off that position, as is Taylor Spivey, who missed Jersey but has been so strong in Malta and here, and that opens this right up. Except Joanna Brown as well looking at that position in 3rd, so with Summer Cook being eliminated.
Yeah, we saw Katie Safiras there just going to the front up that climb, but she's relinquished her position at the front now and given that back over to Kirsten and Taylor. So these 3 American girls are really driving this pack between them, and they're really stringing it out. You can see the 2 at the back there having to struggle to get back on. It's just this constant yo-yoing that really, really will sap your legs in the long run, and there's so much racing still to go. We're not even halfway through yet.
Up the hill they go for the last time in this bike leg. Of course, they'll hit another bike leg a little bit later on, and the legs will be burning even harder. But now Taylor Spivey has taken control of this one. Kirsten Casper sits in 2nd, and it's still America 1, 2, 3. Rachel Clammer 4, and hasn't that just been the story so far of the last couple of weeks? The church in the background at the top of that hill, and we keep saying it, but the television just doesn't do justice to the steepness of that hill, and also to the practical mountain that they have to take on in the back of your shot there, which they'll get to as they head through transition once again. But Taylor Spivey taking a leaf out of her partner Vincent Louis' book and taking control of the race. Louis is our championship leader in the men's.
Into transition.
And we'll see the men's a little bit later as they head into transition, out on the first of 2 runs, and we'll see whether Kirsten Casper decides to take the short shoot when it comes around at the end of the first lap.
Katie Safiras is down.
Safiras is down. That's going to hurt Katie Safiras.
And those girls will be able to hear on the in-house commentary. They'll have heard that. They won't have seen it because they were actually in front of her already. So the 2 main contenders, if you like, given that they've both got the short shoot and they've been racing so well,
and they've gone
Kirsten
for it.
and Taylor, and they've absolutely bolted out of transition because they heard Katie Safiras go down behind them.
A big deep breath from Katie Safiras too, and we might be able to get a replay, but that's definitely looked like it took the wind out of her. It was quite a decent trip, and the girls at the front, the women at the front, sorry, have put the hammer down. Clammer chasing And here is Zefiris at the back. And she's just...
It almost seemed like her bike drifted out, and then she tripped over her own wheel by doing that.
Yep, she's done that on her own. So it happens to the very, very best of us.
And I wonder if these two women on screen, both Taylor Spivey and Kirsten Casper, both have the short shoot. You capitalise on that now, take it together.
I think that's the right thing to do now. I think the way the tactics or the race itself has unfolded, the best tactic would be to really put Katie under immense pressure at this moment, take that short shoot, make her work incredibly hard, which she's going to have to do anyway, given she had that incident in transition. Make her work even harder to catch you. Both Taylor and Kirsten, fantastic swimmers as well, so they won't necessarily lose anything to Katie when they come to the second swim leg. I think just give yourself a bigger buffer as possible.
Absolutely.
Try and work together on that second bike leg and make Katie really work for it if she's going to take this title.
This is a situation we have not seen before. We have not seen her make an error like that across the course of the racing. She has had one day where she hasn't won it, but that was due to some fantastic running from Cassandra Beaugrand. But we haven't seen her have to come back from an error like this.
Yeah, this will be a real test of her composure here, and I do think she is the complete athlete, and I do think she will be able to hold her composure and just sort of slowly but surely reel her way back in. But this is where it's up to those other two girls. They need to put the pressure on her now, because otherwise Katie will, with her experience, with her endurance, with her just her supreme confidence in this racing
at the moment. They haven't taken it.
And I think that's an error. I think they
mistake.
should have taken it at that point. I think that was the moment to put the pressure on Katie, because we can see she's closing them back in now.
They would be talking between each other now after that, surely at some point on that run, and go, should we take it at this point?
They didn't seem to be. That would be the first thing you would do. You'd look across, you would say, look, Katie's under pressure. We've both got this together. As you said, Vicky, we both swim well together. There's more power in numbers, and we really put her under pressure. Even if she's to close the gap on the next bike ride, you have to fatigue the legs and pay for that, and it gives us every opportunity to potentially win this race.
All right, Zefiris is doing her utmost to try and cross that gap back. Takahashi and McShane are trying to do the same. They currently sit in 6th and 7th position.
So having a great race here, Jodie Stimpson. She's been up and down over the weekend. I know she was a bit disappointed yesterday. She said she made an error in the first swim, and it just cost her so big for the rest of the triple mix racing. But she's tucked in there in that group, and if she can go back into the water with them on the second round through, I think she'll be really pleased with that, because it's a really ideal position to be in, a slightly smaller splinter group right at the front of the racing. It's exactly where you want to put yourself.
The one that has hurt a little bit is Joanna Brown. You can see has just turned the top of the course there. She was in that lead group earlier on, and she's dropped back behind McShane and Takahashi. The bronze medalist from Gold Coast, and Zefiris has got back on. So maybe they'll look back at that, Spivey and Casper, and think we made a tactical error. We should have put the pressure on and just tried to string them out at that point. But maybe they just both looked at each other and waited for the other one to make a move.
Yeah, needed one of them to probably be decisive. If they had decided that whatever one of them did, the other one would do, I think they probably needed to be a little bit more decisive at that moment, a little bit more bold. But Katie now, she's obviously had to work harder than these girls to catch on. She's a fantastic runner, but that will have hurt her. So right now, she's on damage control. She's got to recover. She's got to give herself the next half a lap till she has to go back into the water to just tuck in that group and try and find some rhythm, just be comfortable, catch her breath again.
She seemed to take a sigh of relief as she rounded the bottom of that climb, as if
it was almost visible, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really visible. She's like, I'm on. Let's relax. Let's stay with this group and let's prep for this next swim.
Rachel Clemmer got the goggles on there already.
See Jodie Stimpson doing the same. Yeah.
She's got the goggles on now as well. She looks like RoboCop running there at the back of the screen.
She's decided it's better on the forehead.
No, she's gone for the goggles. She's gone for the goggles, Jodie Stimpson. No room for fashion in Super League Triathlon.
And look at that, Safari straight on the front of the run already. Putting herself in good position into this swim. Kirsten Casper beating her out of the water in the opening swim.
And I think Kirsten done such a good job up until this point. I mean, she's put herself right at the front of the race. She's been strong. She's looked pretty comfortable. I just wonder if she should have taken that short shoot a little bit earlier.
Well, she does still have it in the pocket, so that is something to think about. Normally it's Zefiris who has the short shoots in the pocket, which she doesn't this time, but they all get out together in a reasonably clean transition. Shoes off.
If both those girls, Kirsten and Taylor, are actually feeling pretty comfortable, having that that short shoot for the second round is a great thing. I just wonder if alienating Katie, which, if I'm honest, is probably the only way you're going to beat her at the moment, maybe that was the time to use it. If Katie's in this race, I would be very surprised. I mean, as she is in this race, I mean, right at the front of it, I'd be very surprised not to see her really push on the run at the beginning of the final leg.
Taylor
Spivey's taking control there, hasn't she?
Big control. And the issue you have with someone as strong as Katie Zafari is she can really push this next bike ride and make up for the losses that the short shoot have given her. You've seen her do that in multiple races we've had, where she's been able to gap them on the bike and set the entire race up. So the short shoot could be nullified if she makes a move now.
Yeah, she really pushes on. I mean, she's a fantastic swimmer as well. She's such an all-round athlete, but she really pushes on the bike, which we've seen her do so many times. That short shoot becomes, null and void. Nothing happens from it.
Kirsten Kasper's having a day. She's gone straight to the front. Tyler Spivey moved around on the beach. Was first to enter the water, but Kirsten's gone bang again as she did in the opening swim. Straight to the front and dictating terms.
Really impressive swimming today from Kirsten. She's been at the front the whole way on both swims and looking to control it, really. Yeah,
it's a real marked change in tactics from Kirsten Kasper, and I have to say she's gone out there on what is probably her last race of the season, if not second last, as we move into the middle of November very soon. And it's been a long season for all of these women, but she's obviously decided today that she's going to go out there and she's going to control things and she's going to lead from the front. She's going to see what that gives her. And at the moment, Katie Zafiris, our championship leader, is sitting in a nice position. She's found herself after all of that right on the toes. And
that'll be exactly where Katie wants to be. It's a marked advantage to be on somebody's feet, to be second or third in the water rather than be leading it. She had to work a lot harder than she would have wanted to at the end of that first round of the Enduro. She wouldn't have wanted to have that little slip up there and have to really work her way back on. Now she's back on, she'll be recovering. The whole time she's behind Kirsten, she'll be recovering.
The other thing, I spoke to Katie Zafiris in between the heats and the final while she was getting a massage, and she said, look, I know that I don't need necessarily to beat Kirsten in this race to win the $20,000 prize for the overall round points, because yesterday Katie Zafiris picked up 25 points out of a possible 50. There's 25 on offer today. Kirsten Kasper picked up 18 for third position, so she has a little buffer there. If they finish 1 and 2, Katie will still win the round, still pick up the 25 championship points for winning the round and pick up the money as well. So
she's 100% right, but the issue is with today's racing, if it comes back on a count back, it's today's race that matters. So if we reverse the order from yesterday and Kirsten Kasper's to win this with Taylor Spivey finishing second,
yes,
Kirsten will win the round. So it's she knows that. Both Kirsten and Taylor both have the short shoot, so the ball is in Katie Zafiris' court to catch up, to do something to close that.
The question is, what does Katie Zafiris do? 1, 2 and 3 yesterday they were, with Zafiris 25 points, Spivey 21 and Kasper 18. They are 1, 2 and 3 in this one with the equal amount of points on offer. So we could have a situation, I'm not a mathematical genius, but where a couple of people finish on 42 and one finishes on 43, depending on how it all works out. We'll have to get our algebra team into it towards the end of this race, because there is plenty of other contenders and plenty of other women who are very, very quick. But at the moment, the Americans are dictating terms, and Kasper's in the water first once again.
You just saw there when they came out to re-enter for this second lap, if you like, on the swim, that Rachel Klammer had been a little bit distanced. She was just about dangling there, and then a little bit further back again was Jodie Stimpson. So those two haven't been able to live with the pace on the first part of that swim and will be desperately trying to hold on. They don't want to get distance now. They've made it this far through. That's the group to make. And you can see Rachel's just slightly wide, and I think she'll be really trying to get back onto Taylor's feet, because Taylor is actually the one in third at the moment. Otherwise, it's going to be these three Americans going. It's going to be a duke out between the two who've got the short shoot in Taylor Spivey and Kirsten Kasper, and our race leader in Katie Zafiris.
And I think given the short shoot to Taylor Spivey and to Kirsten Kasper will just about roughly negate how much better Zafiris is than everybody in the field.
It could be very, very close.
It could be very close, and we're hoping that it is. We're also hoping to see a little bit more of Rachel Klammer, Yuko Takahashi, Jodie Stimpson, as the field continues to string out. The last time, as they finished in the swim, I think Summer Cook was just on the edge of the 90-second mark, so we'll wait to see what's happening with Summer Cook, who's third place in the championship with Rachel Clammer 2 points behind her and Jodie Stimson 8 points behind her. So she could see herself, depending on where Jodie Stimson finishes, as far as going from 3rd to 5th.
Yeah, you can
as we
slide
head
down
in.
the rankings on a day like today.
Absolutely.
If you don't quite have the day you want, and that's where Super League's unique and quite special in that you've got to always be on your game.
Our 4 jerseys lead the race, and it's interesting. We both agreed that potentially the Taylor and Kirsten had made an error by not taking that short shoot. But this is where the fatigue starts to set in. So taking a short shoot when you are tired, you're not moving as quickly. It suddenly takes a 5-second advantage when everyone's moving quickly and makes it a 7 or 8 second advantage. So it may work out well for them.
Yeah, it's mentally such a harder game as well for someone like Katie.
Yeah.
If they take that short shoot and then she has to catch back up to them and she doesn't have very long to do it, it just puts her under pressure. It gives her a little bit of panic. And we've seen her race with such composure over the whole weekend that they're probably just trying to hustle her a little bit.
All right, Jodie Stimson and Yuko Takahashi are trying to tack on to the back of that group of 4 and make it a group of 6. And Kirsten Kasper certainly does not want that to happen as she tries to get... There's no flat space there to get the feet in the shoes, so you've got to kind of get the power and get the feet in the shoes and stay composed because you hit the hill essentially straight away on the bike, which is another thing to think about.
Yeah,
but again,
really
Kirsten Kasper responds and gets a couple of seconds at the start of the bike.
She's been very, very strong off that transition up that first climb, and the one who's under pressure now is Taylor Spivey, because if Kirsten, as we talked about earlier, if Kirsten Kasper wins this with Katie Zaferes finishing 2nd, even with Taylor taking that short shoot, she doesn't win the round. So it's a question of whether you do the math in your head and think, to win this round, I need this group to come back together, and there's no use just going off the front and winning the race.
I guess at some point you have to realise that you can't control what someone else does. So she can't physically make Taylor be better. She can't make Taylor feel good and catch back on again. And at some point she has to go, well, you know what, it's all about the glory on the day. I'm going to do what I can do and try and win today.
Down the hill they come for the first time. 4 laps on the bike, 2 laps on the run, and we will crown a day and round winner. Still an American 1, 2, 3. Kirsten Kasper has shown us that she can be bold and take control of Super League racing today. Behind her, Zaferes, who I peeked over the top of our screens here and had a look at her as she came into transition, and she was blowing very hard. She's had to work very hard to stay in touch as they go up to the top.
And that aerial shot there shows that Taylor actually is very close to getting onto the back of Katie Zaferes. Not quite, would want to be just a tiny bit closer as they rounded that corner at the top, but she's close enough now, and she'll really, really want to just close that gap up just a few more meters and give herself some time to breathe.
Well, there was questions around Kirsten Kasper and Katie Zaferes in Jersey where she sat off the back of Katie's wheel, and I remember we talked about the free ride, but I think that's been paid back in full today. Kirsten's been on the front of this bike ride all day. She's been on front of the swim, and Katie's really been playing defence.
She's not getting a bit of motorbike drag that Katie might have got a little bit in Jersey on that very, very tight course.
Yeah, there's no motorbikes giving them massive advantage today like there was definitely in Jersey. And Kirsten, absolutely showing that for anybody who ever questioned her, she can ride a bike. She's the complete package as well.
Spivey right back on the back of this pack, along with Stimson and Clammer, and all of our split leaders are there along with Jodie Stimson. And in fact, that is your top 5 outside of Summer Cook. All quality athletes and all fighting it out for the honours in the first ever sprint enduro in Super League Triathlon racing.
Jodie found that hill climb very tough.
Yep.
She
You
found
can tell the athletes who are just getting a bit tired now up the hill, they start to get a bit distanced, really try and race themselves back on down the hill, try and recover. But that's where it's so hard, because on the downhill you do want to be recovering, you want to be freewheeling, you want to just give yourself a second before you have to go up the next hill. But if you're off the back, you have no choice but to push down the hill as well. So it's almost like a double whammy effect of not being on at the top, and then you have to work so hard to get down the hill that the likelihood of staying on at the next one goes down.
It all sounds really, really painful, I have to say.
I think that's how you designed it, isn't it?
Yeah. Looking at the faces, Kirsten looks very composed, as does Taylor, and Rachel Clammer looks better in this race, or this round of the bike, than she did in the first. She looks a lot more comfortable when she's closer at the front. She's not losing that wheel on this climb, where I saw her struggling in the last bike lap. So It'll be interesting to see how this run unfolds, with two of them taking the short shoot and potentially others looking at Katie Zafiris and saying, look, I can get a scalp here. If I can take you out, I'm going to.
Kirsten's really stretching them out again there. She's been really aggressive on this ride, actually. It's been really good to see her just assert herself a little bit, and I think she's been technically good. She's used the hill well. She's been very aware, I think, of what's going on in the group behind her, and just putting the pressure on the other girls.
She really is.
Yes, she really is, and she benefits as well from being at the top when they go up the old Winston Church Hill, because they tend to hold each other up a bit. They're going so slow when they get to the top, and they get a little wobbly, and Rachel Clammer paid for that, and Jodie Stimson too, just backing into each other a little bit, and that concertina effect of break sees them spread out a little bit, and as it seems to happen over and over, they bunch up again on this hill. Yeah, she doesn't want to be back. And this is going to be a classic run leg to finish off this women's sprint enduro between 5 of the best female triathletes in the entire world. Kirsten Casper, Rachel Clammer, Taylor Spivey, Katie Zafiris and Jodie Stimson. And at the other end of racing, Summer Cook is having a tough day of it, and you can see it on her face. She's coming up the hill on her 3rd bike lap, and she could be very, very close.
It's interesting that she hasn't actually done her shoes up yet. I would have thought when she was
Are they
maybe
just long straps though?
No, I don't think so. I think when she was fighting to be in the group and stay on the group, that would have been a smart move. Don't bother doing them up until you feel secure and safe in that group. But now that she's off the back and on her own, I would have thought now's a good time. Tighten up your shoes, give yourself a little bit more power transfer through your feet, through your shoes, onto the bike. But no, she's still riding with them undone.
Look at the different cadence.
She's about to undo them anyway in a second.
Look at the different cadence on Kirsten Casper, much higher in cadence than Katie Zafiris, and Taylor's just so small, she's able to use the power to weight to get up that climb. But I think that's the big advantage on this right-hand turn.
Here we go.
We've got elimination, Summer Cook.
Summer Cook, having had a tough day yesterday and worked very, very hard to make it into the final today, and she had a great race this morning in the heat. She has been eliminated and she has tired legs, and it's showing.
Yeah, that's not the way she would have wanted to end her weekend, but she was very honest about the fact that she didn't enjoy this morning. She had to work very hard to run herself into one of those 4 qualification spots, and yeah, she's tired.
Well, this will be a big last hill for this whole group. If anyone's struggling the most, it seems to be Jodie Stimson. She needs to stay tough on this climb, and I wonder if anyone's going to go off the front and really push the pace. Katie Zafiris is a little bit further back than I thought she'd like to be.
Yeah, Taylor and Kirsten here, I think, making a really big effort. I think they seized the moment, seeing that Katie wasn't near the front of the group around that last U-turn, and they really pushed through transition that lap. Rachel Clammer's jumped across to join them, and here we're seeing Katie having to work hard behind to get herself back onto the group again. Yeah, they're definitely making Katie work for it today. They're not going to hand it to her, and that's really good to see. We didn't want this to be a walkover. We didn't want it to be a whitewash, and we're definitely getting the race we wanted to see.
Last lap on the bike. Jodie Stimson has waved goodbye to Yuko Takahashi, who is now nearly 30 seconds back. She's lost all that time on the bike. She was with Stimson, but Stimson crossed the gap, and Takahashi, you can see, labouring up the hill on her own, wasn't able to go with her. So it's a race in 5 for the honours here in the sprint enduro.
And there is still another little gap. It just keeps opening up now, this gap between Rachel Clammer in 3rd place in that group and Katie Zafiris in 4th. And every time that gap happens, Katie has to close it again. It just saps a little bit more out of her legs. And as Chris mentioned, Katie has a much slower cadence when she climbs the hills, which would just be her style. It'll be the way that she does it. She's a very strong athlete. She's a very muscly athlete. But I do think that over this amount of hills, over a whole weekend, it hurts.
I'm sure it does. All of our split leaders and Jodie Stimson.
This is going to be a run.
It is going to be a fantastic run. Just a reminder that both Kirsten Casper and Taylor Spivey, your athlete from the US in the red and your athlete in the blue, the 2 at the front of the group right now, both have a shortcut up their sleeves. We call it the short shoot, and they'll take it on the first lap of this last run.
Or the second.
There is the turnaround that you can see it in the middle of your screen right now. The big inflatable black Super League marker.
It's a 6-second advantage according to the runners, so it's a big advantage over a 1.7 kilometre run.
Yeah, That's a massive advantage over. Proportionally, it's huge.
Yes.
You know, to have that advantage, and how they use that now. That's going to be really interesting. Katie, interestingly, there, 5th in. She would not have. She's not been at the back of that group pretty much the whole day.
Kirsten Casper made a mistake. They didn't quite rack her bike properly, and that cost her just a second or two. And Taylor Spivey has taken control at the front of this one, and we know how good a runner she is. The question is now who can respond. Jodie Stimson moving up on Kirsten Casper's arm, and at the back of that pack is your championship leader. Now, don't forget that Taylor Spivey, she only has 13 championship points by virtue of the fact that she was not in Jersey. So she could take the win here. She could take the round win as well. She took second yesterday, first today, and you'd have to say, if she does that, no matter where Katie Zafiris finishes, Taylor Spivey will be your round winner and take 25 championship points.
And she's gone hard there as well. She's not holding back at all. She's absolutely gunned it out of transition. She knows that if she wants to win this, there's no time for her to waste. She has to go now. Whether she's got that short shoot or not, she needs to push on, and she's done that.
Katie's gone straight to the front, realises the danger. Kirsten Casper's glanced across at the coach, Jonathan Hall. That's him in the corner with the black hat, yelling, what do I do here? I think she needs to follow Katie up. They need to close this gap to Taylor Spivey. If she's looking at winning this race, she has the short shoot, but she needs to close the gap.
And Katie Zafiris, if she finishes second and Taylor Spivey finishes first, as we eliminate another athlete, and it is Emma Jeffcoat. If Taylor Spivey wins and Zafiris finishes second, they finish on the equal amount of round points. But because Taylor Spivey will have won Sunday, she will have won this round, and she will take the maximum championship points and the big money prize. Katie Zafiris knows this, and she has dropped Kirsten Casper, and it is a race in two at this point between Taylor Spivey and Katie Zafiris, but Spivey is about to take the short shoot, as is Kirsten Casper. She's going to take it right now. She's going to turn around, and Katie Zafiris will have to. She hasn't taken it. She's made an error. Casper knows that she can.
She can take it a first or second lap.
Oh, she can take it.
Yes.
Take it on
all
the
right, take it on the second lap.
Kirsten's made a really. I think that was the best move for Kirsten
Yes,
there, because she was already off the back. She needed that shoot to get herself back into contention. Taylor's still got that up her sleeve, but you can see the gap that has caused. That's a big, big advantage, that short shoot.
But Taylor now has that up her sleeve, so on the road she could be in front of this race. It's going to be interesting to see when we see the shoot. Katie Zafiris straight to the front, has to run this gap down.
Katie's really under the pressure here. She knows that she's got to hunt down Kirsten. Kirsten's now, like in real time, that is how far she's in front of her. But Taylor's got more time to gain on her. So it's a really hard position for Katie to be in right now. Not really knowing how the short shoot's going to play out when Taylor takes it. Can she catch up to Kirsten, who's already taken it? It's a really nice position for Kirsten to be in, actually, sort of running off the front. That'll give her some confidence and some motion in her legs, maybe, that she didn't have just 2 minutes ago.
She's all in now. She has to be all in.
Yeah, there's no other option now.
Big crowd enjoying this, the end of an amazing women's sprint enduro, and Kirsten Casper, who has led much of this race, knows that Taylor Spivey has the short shoot up her sleeve. She'll know how much ground she just made up, and she'll know she has to have at least that as she comes around the top of the course and comes in to transition for the last time, and she is pushing it up this hill. Katie Zafiris in second.
First time I think I've seen Katie look uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Her face is not portraying that, calm, cool, collected persona, demeanour that she's had the whole racing, pretty much the whole of Super League Series. But this is the first time I've seen Katie look a little bit laboured and not quite as comfortable.
Kirsten has to use this downhill, which she really is. She's open right up. She's got to keep that distance between her and Taylor Spivey, because if Taylor takes that short shoot, which she doesn't have to, she'd be crazy not to, but she has to take it on this loop. I think they could come out almost together, and we're going to see a match race for the win, I think.
It's going to be a great finish coming in. So Kirsten's rounded that bottom corner now. She has to come all the way to the far end, but you can see that large inflatable there. That's where Taylor's going to turn round. So when they actually all link back up together, who's going to end up where?
Oh, it's like a Formula One pit stop, and we don't know who's going to come out in front of who. Kirsten Casper's running. Taylor's going to take the shortcut. She's going to come out in front. And Taylor Spivey takes the lead, and she's going to run away with it, you would think. If Spivey takes the 25 points, she'll end up on 46 for the weekend. And then it's a matter of what happens behind her. Zafiris is gone. Casper's going to come second, you'd think.
Taylor is sprinting through transition here. She's still got to go up the hill, U-turn, back down again, but she's absolutely all in. She's really sprinting here. She doesn't want to give Kirsten a chance.
It's not over. You've still got 250 metres of running here, a slight little uphill with a downhill to the finish. A lot of guys ran it this morning in the corporate relay, and a lot of people struggled right here, but
Taylor Spivey.
You can see it on her face, but she's
not going to struggle.
Going. She's going to win this now, I think. I think this is going to be hers.
I think you're right. I think Taylor Spivey is going to run it home. She is going to do it, and she's going to win the round as well. Taylor Spivey is going to end up with 46 points, second yesterday and first today. Taylor Spivey. Fantastic work, and she wins the round. Kirsten Casper comes in second after such an aggressive race. Look at Taylor Spivey. She has given absolutely everything over this weekend. Katie Zafiris finishes third.
That is something we're not used to seeing.
43 points as well overall, which means that she will actually finish third overall in the weekend, equal with Casper on 43, but Casper finishes above her today.
I don't think any of us called those results the way that it actually panned out, those combination of the two events. That's what's done it for Katie, because Katie and Kirsten have ended up on the same amount of points, if our very quick maths is correct.
Well, there's a lot of scribbling on my sheet of paper, and I hope I have got that correct. We'll get the official results in just a second. Rachel Clammer came in fourth position and Jodie Simpson fifth, and these women have given absolutely everything to this weekend's racing, and you can't ask for more than that. And Taylor Spivey, second yesterday and first today in the women's, the first ever women's sprint enduro in triathlon ever. Takahashi, the Asian champ, the Japanese champ, she finishes in sixth position, and Charlotte McShane brings it home after a tough day out yesterday in seventh position. Three of our women got eliminated: Joanna Brown, Emma Jeffcoat,
Summer Cook.
And Summer Cook, I'm just thinking back. That's right, Summer Cook, who had a tough day out. But Taylor Spivey is your Mallorca Round 3 Super League Triathlon champion, and she earned every single metre of that.
She did. She worked incredibly hard for that. And whilst myself and Chris both felt that her and Kirsten should have utilised that short shoot on the first lap, from the first run of the Enduro, it proved to be perfect tactics really to take it when she took it. And yeah, she really dug in hard for those final sort of 400-500 metres, and you can see the pain etched across her face, but I'm sure she's absolutely delighted.
All right, let's have a look at the official results. Taylor Spivey coming in a tick under 40 minutes. Kirsten Casper and Katie Zafiris. America 1, 2, 3. Rachel Clammer in fourth. Jodie Stimson in fifth. Yuko Takahashi and Charlotte McShane just avoids elimination with a 1:27, just under the 90-second rule. And Annie Emerson is down on course with Taylor Spivey, who's just about caught her breath.
Taylor, what a race. It is so much more than swim, bike, run. There is so much to take in. How do you do it? How do you keep your cool?
Oh, I don't know. The American girls especially really pushed me on that bike course, and it was so hard, and you know, I really didn't think I would take the win today, but luckily I think hard courses and steep hills played to my strength, and that short shoot really helped me take the tape.
At what point did you decide to take it on the last run?
I knew I needed, you know, as big of an advantage as I could on Katie, and if I took it too early, I think she'd have someone to chase. So I just hoped I played my cards right, and I definitely did today.
The American girls have been so strong right across the board, particularly in World Triathlon Series racing as well. So what does it feel like to come here and come out as the top girl from America?
Oh, it's absolutely incredible. I mean, Kirsten and I were really lucky to have the short shoot today. Otherwise, I think Katie would have won. But, you know, we raced really well this morning, and it played to our advantage today.
Did you see Katie's mishap in the first transition?
Yeah. She always, whenever she has a mishap, she always seems to come back even stronger. So she's a fighter in the race, and she's always one to beat.
And last thoughts on the World Triathlon Series?
You know, I'm really happy with my consistent season, and this is my last race of the 2018 year, and I'm really happy to win.
Great stuff. Massive congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, your Super League Triathlon Round 3 winner is Taylor Spivey. Congratulations to her. She mentioned the short shoot there, and this is the moment that she took it. Kirsten Casper was forced to use the whole course, and Taylor Spivey, she kept it in her back pocket, We thought maybe it wasn't the right thing to do, but once you see that there's no one in front of you and you've got 500 metres to run, well, you'd back Taylor Spivey at any point from there.
Not only did she take it, she made that turn and committed to a sprint. When Kirsten took it, she still had a lap to go, so it was more a take the chute and settle into your rhythm. But Taylor turned that short chute and put the hammer down, used the downhill, because on road it were probably only 1 or 2 seconds apart. It was magnificent.
I still don't think that Kirsten Casper did the wrong thing in taking it when she did. She attacked as she attacked all day, and she was a very worthy second place getter in the end, but Taylor Spivey just had a little bit too much in the tank.
Yeah, Kirsten was really brave, and she was a little bit distanced on that first lap of the run second time through, and it was the perfect thing for her to do, to take that short chute then, put herself right back at the front of the race, make the others chase her. It was the right card for her to use. It just meant, unfortunately, Taylor was better on the day.
They were 1 and 2 in the championship, Zafiris and Casper. They've taken the win away from them. Taylor Spivey did, but 1 and 2 in the championship behind her. You'd have to say Spivey would be figuring in the championship if she was in Jersey. But Katie Zafiris comes across the line in third. She finishes third overall for the weekend, and 1 and 2 in the championship are both right now with Annie.
Wow, Kirsten, the first thing I've got to say is what a race. You come into your own in the Enduro.
Thank you. Yeah, I like this format, and to be honest, I just went out there and tried to give it my all and just race from the front.
It really looked to us though you got the better of Taylor. You had a big gap, you came flying down that hill, so was it a bit of a shock to see her sort of charge off in front of you? She chose to take, of course, the short chute sooner or later than you did, rather.
I lost a couple seconds in T2, my bike fell over, and I think that cost me probably the race and running for first. I took on the first lap to try to give myself those seconds back, but Taylor's a strong athlete and she had it today.
Well, Katie, congratulations for the series win, but not the win here today. I know that's got to be a bit of disappointment, but I know for the organisers, they're going to love the fact that you caused a little bit of drama for us.
Yeah, I mean, this was just such a tough race, and before just coming into it, I really felt not great, and I'm actually really proud of how I did. I knew Kirsten and Taylor, I know how awesome they are, and with the short chute, holy moly, that made it way more difficult.
Tell us about that fall. We saw it. It was almost like you had a crash with your bike.
Yeah, I mean, it was just me. It was my fault. I still have no idea what happened, but I ended up going basically like head first and just did a tumble. I recovered pretty quick and got on the pack, but it sure costs, I'm sure, some energy just to catch up after that.
I'm going to say very commendable, because you had a little bit of a gap and you managed to run yourself back in, but I guess there you paid the price, didn't you, really, perhaps for the rest of the race?
Yeah, in these types of races, any gaps you let form are going to cost so much energy, and that combined with just trying to catch up and going after these guys, it's hard.
Well, congratulations, both of you. Fantastic racing. Well done.
Thank you.